With the 2025 USA Outdoor Championships now capped off, we have to now look forward to the 2025 World Championships and potentially game out which athletes will be running on the 4x1 for both the men and the women on the United States teams. Now, at the top of 2025, USA Track and Field actually let go of Michelle Lewis Freeman as well as Mike Marsh, and they are no longer the head coaches for the relays. They both had been working with the relays for a significant amount of time. Michelle Lewis Freeman working with the women, Mike Marsh working with the men, but they recently put in Daryl Woodson to be the head coach for both the men and the women when it comes to the relays. He was able to put together various different squads for the world relays that went down in Guangzhou earlier this year. But now, after the USA Championships, picking the team for the 4x1 for the World Championships is going to be a whole different beast. And in my opinion, I think these teams are going to be a little bit trickier to actually pick and determine the lineups for than in previous years, specifically compared to last year. So let's dive into both teams. First off, the men. Now, the men have a relatively strong squad of athletes that they're sending to the World Championships in both the 100 and the 200. You have Noah Lyles running both events. You have Kenny B running both events. Courtney Lindsay running both events. In the 100, you have T-Mars McCallum coming out of Tennessee. Also, you have other names like Trayvon Bromell, like Christian Coleman. You also have other names like Robert Gregory. So a lot of different athletes are in the conversation to potentially compete and be in this relay pool going to the World Championships. So first things first, athletes like Noah Lyles, Kenny B, and Courtney Lindsay, it may be tricky depending on how they actually do in the 200, assuming they all make the final, then they may not be able to run the prelims in the way that they would like, considering the schedule. So that may make it very interesting to determine who's running in the prelims of the 4x1. So first thing, some potential contenders for each of the legs. On first leg, Christian Coleman is one of, if not the best starter in the world. Now, he hasn't shown it as much in 2025, but I think he's shown his ability to be as consistent as possible, specifically on the relay when it comes to the 4x1. So he is definitely in that conversation for the leadoff leg. Courtney Lindsay also may be in that conversation, considering he's run the 4x1 leadoff leg at the World Relays on various occasions, so he should be one in that conversation as well. Trayvon Bromell, also very well known for his start, so he could be a contender for the first leg. Second leg, there are still a few options here as well. Trayvon Bromell, he's another one who can run the second leg, considering how he's actually able to maintain his top end speed relatively well. Kenny B, he's also a strong second leg athlete, having run second leg at the World Relays on various different occasions. I know, Olympic Games last year, not a great handoff, but I'm not too worried about the handoffs. I'm just picking the athletes based on what they have done in terms of their ability to run each leg. We'll get to the handoffs in a whole nother discussion. Similar to Kenny Bednarek, Courtney Lindsay is someone who does have some strong top end speed and might be able to hold the back straight really, really well. Now, third leg, there's a few different options, and in my opinion, a few more options that might come into this conversation. T-Mars McCallum, I think this would be a great opportunity for T-Mars to be able to run on the relay on the third leg, to be able to support the team in that way. While he was at Tennessee, he did run the anchor leg for the most part, but T-Mars, shout out to T-Mars. He's not going to be taking, the spot on that anchor leg. But I think third leg, even second leg, could be a good opportunity for him. Same thing with Trayvon Bromell. Bromell has actually spoken about wanting to probably run the third leg, maybe the second leg, but he also does like the third leg.
Ideally, on the 4x1, what's the leg you want?
So, what's crazy? Like, I know a lot of people see me as, like, a good starter. And so you instantly try to put the starter's first leg. But growing up, so I used to watch Tyson a lot. So I always was, like, infatuated with wanting to run third leg. So that's that's one of the interesting things. Everybody want to stick me as the first leg runner and everything. But I actually like to run, I'll say, second or third leg. I'll be smooth with that.
Also on third leg, you can have Kenny Bednarek or Courtney Lindsay. Both of them, I think, run very, very strong curves, considering what we've seen them do in the 200, and would be well positioned for these legs. Again, either second or third in this case. Now, anchor leg, I think we know exactly who should be running anchor. Noah Lyles. That spot is going absolutely nowhere. Noah Lyles is running the anchor leg. That is his spot, and it's not going anywhere. So that is kind of the ideas that I would have for the men's different legs. But let's talk about an actual race. In the heats at the World Championships, if I was to create a team, I would say in the heats, Christian Coleman, he would be the leadoff leg. Second leg, I would actually put Trayvon Bromell. Now, I know he said he does like the third leg, but I think the second leg might be the best bet for Trayvon Bromell, because then T-Mars McCallum would go third leg for me here, and then Courtney Lindsay would run the anchor leg. And this would be the heats, right? This is the heats. Now, like I said previously, this would hinge on the 200 meters where Courtney Lindsay, if he makes that 200-meter final, it's going to be tricky for him to navigate potentially running the 200-meter final and the 4x1 heats. That's where you may need to insert another athlete into the conversation. If Kenny, Noah, and Courtney Lindsay all run the 200 final, then I'm not sure if Courtney Lindsay would run that heats. Maurice Gleaton Jr. is a potential option, and it looks like he may be going to Tokyo, but he also seems like he might be starting school in the fall. So he's a question mark, but could be used as a replacement for Courtney Lindsay. So it's a little tricky there, but that's what I would say for my potential heats on the men's side. In the final, I think for me, this would be a pretty solid team. Christian Coleman on the leadoff leg, Trayvon Bromell on second leg, Kenny B on third leg, and then Noah Lyles to run that anchor leg. Christian Coleman has an explosive start, and I find it hard to say that he should not be on that first leg. We've seen what he's been doing all the way back to 2016 when he ran the relay at the Olympic Games. 2017, he ran the anchor leg. 2019, he of course ran first leg. So he's been on the relay so consistently year after year that I find it hard to say that Christian Coleman should not be on this relay and he shouldn't be that starter. He's going to be, in my opinion, he should be there. Trayvon Bromell is who I would put on second leg. Now, like I said, Trayvon probably said he would prefer third leg, but I think his consistency and his ability to actually hold his top end speed relatively well, yes, he has a good start, but I think he does pretty well when he is on. And this is going to be his only focus, Christian Coleman's only focus. They're not running individually, so they'll be able to focus on that relay, and I think first and second leg might be good here. Kenny B on that third leg, I think will be an excellent pick. I did note last year that I would have preferred him to run the third leg at the Olympic Games, but I think this will be a good spot for him. I know he does prefer the second leg. He is able to also really run well, hold his top end speed, but I think his ability to run that curve will really shine if we put him on third leg on the 4x1. And then, of course, hand it off to Noah. Hopefully they're all set by that point, but hand it off to Noah Lyles. And Noah Lyles, we've seen him run the anchor multiple times. We've seen him, do what he does, and I think it's impossible to take that away from him. So that's my team for the final. Christian Coleman, Trayvon Bromell, Kenny Bednarek, Noah Lyles. And then the heats, we'll see how that actually does play out once we get to Tokyo. Let's move over to the women's side. This one, I'm going to be honest, I think is a little bit trickier. It's a lot tougher to pick out and determine, for me, who should be running the 4x1 at the World Championships for the women. Now, you have a few different names. In the 100, we saw Melissa Jefferson-Wooden. She got the win. Kayla White was second, and then Aaliyah Hobbs came up for third place. Now, you also have T.T. Terry. You have Tamari Davis. They finished fourth and fifth place, respectively, and I think they should be in the relay pool. Also, Sha'Carri Richardson, she is the defending world champion and has a wild card to Worlds, and we've seen her on the relay for, on the anchor leg for the past 2 years. So she should be in that conversation as well. You have athletes like a Gabby Thomas, who could also be in that conversation. Even someone like a Nanavia Battle, who ran sub 10 seconds this year, but only focused on the 200. She's going to be on that team. So this gets very, very tricky, but I'm going to dive in with my different legs and some of the athletes and contenders who could be in this relay. First leg, Melissa Jefferson, Tamari Davis. I think it starts and ends there. Those are the only two athletes who I think should be in the conversation for the leadoff leg because of their explosive starts. Tamari Davis might be one of the best starters in American history, since Tiana Madison, right? She was killing it on those relay legs. Tamari Davis is explosive. We saw what she did in Budapest 2023, so she has that start. And then Melissa Jefferson is also explosive. Even ignoring what she's been doing all year in 2025, look back to 2024. Explosive out of the blocks on the 4x1 at the Olympic Games. 2022, explosive out of the blocks on the 4x1 at the World Championships here in Eugene. So those two are the only ones, in my opinion, who should be in the conversation for that leadoff leg. Second leg, couple women who we could put on this leg. Aaliyah Hobbs. She is one who's run second leg for the United States in 2022 in Eugene in the heats. In 2021 at the Olympic Games, I think she ran the anchor leg in the heats for the team there. But I think she is one who has some excellent top-end speed and some maintenance that I think will translate over into a second leg position for her here. Also, T.T. Terry. T.T. Terry has been super consistent on the second leg. 2023 at the World Championships. 2024 at the Olympic Games. She is one of, if in my opinion, I think T.T. Terry is 100% needs to be on this relay on some leg. She needs to be on this relay because she is a leader. She's a mentor. She is, has some of the highest race IQ of any athlete when talking about the 4x1. She needs to be on this relay. Second leg may be the spot for her. Also, Kayla White. Kayla White hasn't run on the 4x1 for the United States until the World Relays this year, but while she was at North Carolina A&T, she was running second leg for the Aggies there. So she could be a contender for the second leg. Third leg, TT Terry, Kayla White, Anavia Battle, Gabby Thomas. I think all four of those women have the strong chops to be able to be consistent on that leg. Gabby Thomas, we've seen her run third leg in 2023 and 2024. TT Terry, I think, is very versatile and can, mix things up, as well as Kayla White, who also, has a strong curve in terms of the 200, and her ability there is very strong. Same thing with Anavia Battle. So third leg could work for either of these women. Now, finally, anchor leg, Sha'Carri Richardson. It really just starts and ends there. Sha'Carri Richardson, just like Noah Lyles on the men's side, she is the anchor leg for the United States, and assuming she's in top form, like no one is taking that spot away from her, she is going to be running that anchor leg. So who should actually run on this relay? My personal thoughts, my team. In the heats at the World Championships, I think we should see a team of Tamari Davis on leadoff, Aaliyah Hobbs on second leg, TT Terry on the third leg, and Kayla White on the anchor leg. Tamari Davis and TT Terry, they're not competing individually, so they should actually get a chance to run and potentially run in that final. I'll tell you in a second, but they should actually be here. Kayla White has that experience of running the anchor leg at the World Relays, and I think she would be a good, holder for Sha'Carri Richardson, who, I'm definitely going to have running in that final. Aaliyah Hobbs, she's run second leg, at the 2022 World Champs in the heats, and I think she should replicate that here. She'll be done with the 100 meters by that point. Tamari Davis, already said, she is one of, in my opinion, the best starters in the world, considering all the current athletes right now. Yes, she hasn't, made a team since 2023, but she is excellent. Same thing, TT Terry. She has been so consistent, and she is very capable of maneuvering around any leg, and I think we should see her on that third leg. Now, in the final, this may be controversial. I'm going to be honest, this was very, very challenging, both heats and final. But in the final, Melissa Jefferson-Wooden. There's no way that you're taking Melissa Jefferson-Wooden off that relay, and I think she should hold her leadoff leg spot. Melissa Jefferson has been explosive out of the blocks all throughout 2025, and we've seen what she's done on the first leg for the past couple years as well. I think she should get that first leg spot. Second leg, I went a little back and forth, but I think Aaliyah Hobbs should hold that second leg spot down. Considering what she's done in the 100 meters throughout this year, considering the progression that she's made, and considering what she's shown, again, on the second leg, I think she should take her spot from the heats and move it the same into the final. Melissa Jefferson-Wooden, Aaliyah Hobbs, third leg, I'm keeping TT Terry. It's hard for me to say that TT Terry should not be running on a relay. Just like I said, I feel like she has some of the highest race IQ. Looking at what she did at the 2023 and 2024 World Championships in Budapest, in both the heats and the final, where the athletes, Tamara Clark in 2023 and then Gabby Thomas in 23 and 24 as well, not the perfectly executed races, but TT Terry was able to remain calm and actually get the baton to the respective athletes. In 2025, at the World Relays, despite the handoff not initially going well, she remained calm, remained focused, and was able to get the baton around the track. TT Terry is such a versatile runner, and I really do think she should run that third leg. Finally, Sha'Carri Richardson on that anchor leg. This is a foregone conclusion considering she is always running the anchor. She is, on paper, the fastest athlete for the United States. Of course, Melissa Jefferson-Wooden, right up on there at the same time. But, even though she's not in the greatest form, I think she's going to be able to get to that form when we get to the World Championships in 2025. Now, of course, there's tons of politics that come into play when talking about the relays. And especially if an athlete isn't performing as well, people may start to question, should they be on the relay? Should they run, et cetera, et cetera? But I think she should definitely be on. So you may be confused why I don't have Gabby Thomas. Well, the problem with Gabby is that she's running the 200, and I think she's also probably going to run the 4x4 as opposed to 4x1. The 4x1 and 4x4 are on the same day at the 2025 World Championships. So she will not be able to run both relays. So I think she's probably going to lean in the direction of the 4x4 as opposed to the 4x1, assuming she's picked for the relay pool. So we'll see what happens with Gabby Thomas. But that's my 4x1 for the women. Melissa Jefferson-Wooden, Aaliyah Hobbs, TT Terry, Sha'Carri Richardson in that final. Again, the heats gave you that. We'll see how things actually do play out. There are, of course, tons of different things that go on behind the scenes that will be interesting to see how things unfold when we get to the World Championships. As I said before, we're working with a new relay coach for 2025. Daryl Woodson, he has experience working with Team USA in various capacities, but specifically on the women's side, they have not lost a medal at the World Championships or the Olympic Games since 2009. That was the last time they did not get on the podium. And since 2022, the USA women have won gold. So there are some really high expectations for the USA women's 4x1. The men are the gold medalists from 2023. Yes, they didn't make it at the Olympic Games last year. You know, they weren't able to successfully pass in the zone and they were DQ'd, but they got the gold medal at the World Championships in 2023, so they're the defending champions. Will they be able to actually get on the podium once again and potentially hold that gold medal? I don't know. And I know people are going to come for the relay coach and all that, you know, if things don't go well, but we'll actually see. So let me know what you think about my relay order. Again, it was tough for me to pick. I think this year is a little bit trickier considering the names that we have, considering the potential lineups and the skills that everyone has and their ability to translate it to these different legs. I think the only things that are consistent across the board, in my opinion, are Noah Lyles and Sha'Carri Richardson running anchor, and then Melissa Jefferson-Wooden running the first leg, in my opinion. But I know everyone might have a different opinion. Some people might say Melissa should anchor. I don't know. But let me know what you think. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Truly appreciate y'all. Thanks for watching.